your questions today, right now, all about radiology. So let's get the chat going. Let's answer some of your questions. So I am actually looking directly at my computer here, and you guys want to know more about radiology technology. You want to know what it is that we do in radiology technology as well as MRI. How do you go to school for it? How do you become it? How do you become a radiology technologist? Do you go straight into MRI? If you're a nurse or if you do something in healthcare, can you just switch right over into radiology? Some of you are starting school for radiologic technology in 5 days or very, very soon. A lot of new students are starting in radiologic technology. So we're going live doing a Q&A right now. First question out the bat is, I start the Rad Tech program in 5 days. I'm ready to get it in. So some of you, we have a new group of cohort of students starting all across the United States in radiology technology programs. One of the things is many people want to know, what do I do to prepare to go to school for radiology technology? I always say, take a nice long vacation before you start radiology technology school, because it's going to be 2 years nonstop of intense, and I'm not meaning to scare anybody or sound over dramatic, but it is intense education, no summers off, Monday through Friday. And there's something about healthcare professions, medical professionals, when you go to school for them. If you fail a major test or course, you have to be put out and you have to start all over. That is no fun. So it is a lot of high stress and pressure. It is not one of those courses that you could just do and, oh, I failed it, I can keep going. No, Radiology Technology School is just as intense as any other healthcare program. For some, certain areas are easier, but the part about not being able to, if you fail an exam, not being able to stay in the course and just maybe make it up, that's a no-go. Okay, so I got another question is, how much do you make if you graduate as a radiology technologist? Again, that is very dependent upon where you live. So some people may say in California, they're making X amount of dollars, 6 figures being radiology technologist, high 6 figures or mid 6 figures. Yes, that's the case. But also you got to look at how much it costs to live in California. Welcome to the live, you guys. You also have to think of how much it costs to live in California. So if someone's making mid 6 figures, it's going to cost a lot to live there versus if you're living in the middle of small town USA, where your average rent is about $800 a month for it. So you're not going to probably make what people make in California, most likely. I'm not going to say you're not, but most likely you're not. So when it comes to how much do radiology technologists, MRI technologists, CT technologists, all the above really get paid, I want you to look at certain things, in a way that others don't look at it. So you have to look at it and make sure that individuals who get into the profession don't look at other people's salary and say, oh, wow, I want to make that, or how can I make that much money? It truly depends on where you live, your specialty, and what type of hospital you work at as well. Do you work in an outpatient center or imaging center? All of that is very dependent upon how much you're going to make. So keep that in mind when you're looking for jobs, when you're graduating Radiology Technology School. We are doing a Q&A right now. So if you guys got questions, I'm going straight to the questions that you all ask me. It's because you're very engaged, so you always ask questions. So this person says, I'm 39 and I started back to school this summer. My goal is to get Rad Tech certified or registered and then certified in multiple modalities. That is a great goal. I'm currently working on general ed and Rad Tech program prereqs. You may be wondering what prereqs. So in order to go to any program across the board, you have to do certain prerequisite classes like maths, Englishes. But when it comes to healthcare programs, you have to do like anatomy, physiology with labs, some even a chemistry. So it is totally dependent on that school's prerequisites for that line of programs. If you were going for engineering or medical dosimetry or a radiation therapist or radiology technology, you're going to have certain core classes you have to take ahead of being able to apply to any program. So that's what this commenter is saying that they're doing. So take those courses, make sure you go with the college that you're going to be applying to make sure you get all of those core classes, because it would be really bad if you went and took all your core classes based off another school and then you applied to another school. But usually they're about the same. But I would always check with the program that you're going to be applying to make sure you take the right sciences, the right maths, the right Englishes. That's very important, and electives. So the person says, thank you for making content on various aspects of the process and the career overall. You're very inspirational and relatable. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Ashley Austin 5001. That is why I come on here. I've been doing this for over 20 years. I do multiple modalities, and I've made mistakes. I made great choices. So it kind of depends, but I've had people along the way who have shared with me things that I should, things that I shouldn't do. So now that social media is something that happens now, I'm definitely going to share it with you all. So this is a place to be if you want to learn all about, thank you so much, Dr. Jonathan. If you want to learn all about what it takes to get into medical imaging. I actually did a networking event today. I went to one. I was scared to go in because I'm going to tell you, I go into these events and I'm usually the only rad tech, radiology technologist in the room. Most people are like, you do what? It's so funny because when I went, I introduced myself. I go around, I talk to people. I feel like I'm the only one that may know what I do, but it's intimidating to go in a place where people are of these other professions and they probably don't know what you do. They've heard of you, but probably don't know what you do. And they don't see where they could do business with you. Oh, you take x-rays, so why would I do business with you? And sometimes what I get is I go and introduce myself and they're like, oh, hi, what do you do? And I tell them and they're like, oh, okay. And then they move on to the next person. When I do career days, they sometimes do that too. It's like, oh, so you're a nurse? Nope, I'm not a nurse. Oh, okay. Another person said, I'm a nurse. And everybody goes over to them. But I'm going to tell you, don't let that scare you, because there's people there. And if you're very confident and know what you do and know what you bring to the table, me personally, I understand, with the book that I wrote, Rachel's Radiographer, that book is my business, one of my businesses, and it has to just do with radiology. But it has to do with so much more. So when I go do networking events, I'm very strategic in where I go. If I'm going for my book, if I'm going for my other business, if I'm going for consulting, I know why I'm there. So today I went as my media company, and it was amazing. It was so amazing. That first initial person that just didn't know how our businesses would connect, I did, but they just couldn't see it because people get so wrapped up in, oh, you take x-rays, which is not what I do. But anyway, that's why we're answering these questions, and we're going live on YouTube right now because we are answering you guys' questions, talking to you all, educating the public about what medical imaging really is, not what maybe we think it is or what people say we do, and also educating technologists on the fact that you have some solid skills. So be sure to talk them up. Be sure to walk into a room confident. If you want to go back to school for radiology, go back to school for radiology. Don't let anyone talk you down or make you think that, oh, your job is going to be obsolete by AI in a few years. That's one of the questions I'll get. And let me do that now. Will radiology be obsolete, radiology technologists and radiology be obsolete or taken over by AI? That's what I get all the time. Like, oh, you're not going to have a job very soon. AI is going to take over. I don't know. I can't say definitely. Nobody can say that. But what I do know is radiology, medical imaging in healthcare uses more AI than any other healthcare profession. Radiology has the most AI in it. And one thing, I was just quoted in the medical journal about a workforce survey that showed that there's such a deficit of technologists out there. They need more medical imaging technologists out there. So obviously AI is not taking over our jobs. I'm going to tell you where I see AI really, really in our jobs as radiology technologists, medical imaging, MRI, all of them. When I do MRIs and CT too, all of the modalities I think have seen AI in our profession. And it's not scary at all. But what it does is it creates more work. So if you're thinking the jobs are going to be gone because of AI in what we do, think again. I have seen it speed up, whereas just a few years ago, MRI of your knee would take 20 minutes. Now, without increasing to a 3 Tesla, a stronger magnet, which is what most people did, was buy a stronger magnet, which gave you the less option of being able to do more patients, because now these patients can't get on the 3T because they've got implants or they got a certain amount of tattoos. Whereas a 1.5 Tesla, which is a less stronger magnet, you can do more patients with implants and things like that on your scanner. But yet you can add AI software to speed up your scanner, where now that knee used to take you 20, 25 minutes, and don't let the patient move. Now that knee takes, guess how long? Can somebody guess in the comments how long it takes to do a knee using AI software now? And I'm going to talk about another way that AI has jumped into the arena with radiology technologists and are not taking our jobs, but actually helping to create more jobs. Let's see in the comments if you guys know, how long do you think it would take for, let's see. I'm going to give you some options in the poll. How long does it take to do a knee now with AI? I'm going to give you some options and you could choose. Let's see, and I'm going to do here, and then let's do one more. And let's see what you all say. I would love to see what you all say. Let's see, I'm starting the poll now. The poll is started. How many people are going to participate in the poll? We got 13 people on live now. 6 thumbs up. Thank you guys for the thumbs up. Thank you for engaging. And sorry, I came back on a trip and I got the runny nose kind of thing. I don't think I'm sick. I just got a nasally kind of thing. But yeah, I want to know in the poll. I'm going to let you guys pop in there and I'll come back and check the poll. But AI is actually enhancing and creating more jobs for technologists. Now, I'm not a radiologist, the doctor, so I can't speak on that. Oh, I got 2 votes. Okay, we're going to go. I'm going to finish this thought, and then I'm going to the poll because I want to see what you guys say, how long it takes to do a knee now that we have AI introduced into MRI. This is MRI knees. Used to take 20 minutes, and now they're taking, guess how much, but you got to go to the polls, and let's see what you guys say. We got 2 votes so far. Let's get those votes up. Let's get those votes cranking up. It's 14 of y'all on here. Let's go ahead and vote. Come on, y'all. Let's see if we can get 14 votes. So AI now is enhancing it, where, I don't know if you've seen my videos with Ezra MRI Scan. It's a whole body MRI scan. That was never done before. Now, these are not diagnostic scans per se, but they are scans that help doctors, but they use AI to be able to look at certain millimeters and centimeters of tumors or things that can help doctors tell if this is, you know, something emergent, cancer or not. So it's like a screening, not a diagnostic test. They do not use this and read it for tests that are done when someone comes in for an MRI. But they are really good. I've had 2 using the Ezra MRI scan and been able to use that and see very clearly a whole body scan. And it took from head to toe, pelvis. It stopped at my mid thighs, but top of the head to mid thighs. Normally, that kind of scan on an MRI scanner does not get done, first of all. But if we had to do that type of scan, what the whole body MRI is doing, oh, that would be hours, hours, hours. And I was only on the scanner for maybe 50 minutes, which may seem like a lot to you, but remember, that's scanning head, neck, chest, limbs, pelvis, abdomen. That's a lot. So there's a poll that if you guys could comment on. I asked the question, prior to AI, people say AI is going to take over our jobs in medical imaging. I disagree. And I gave an example. We used to do MRI knees that took 20, 25 minutes if the person didn't move. Now you do not have to upgrade your scanner to a 3T to get faster scans. You can still use your same 1.5 Tesla MRI scanner, but now the knees take less time. Go to the poll and tell me how much less time than 20, 25 minutes do you think a scan takes now with the use of AI? You know, AI, I'm no computer genius, but I do know we use AI a lot in radiology. It's still one medical field that uses AI the most. It has been very helpful in allowing us to get more quality scans, speed up scans, and in the technology arena of it now. So everyone says 6 minutes, and you know what? You guys are right. You are exactly right. 6 minutes is the average time we could do scans. Now, of course, it depends on the radiologist protocol. Some radiologists like a lot of sequences. But when we use that Boost by Siemens or another AI software to speed up the scan, oh, somebody said 15 minutes. Again, it depends on the radiologist protocol, but most knee protocols use about 4, maybe 5 sequences, but usually 4. A scout and 4 sequences that could be like 2.5 minutes. I mean, you could get a knee done in 6 to 8 minutes. No problem. Shoulders, too. Shoulders used to take a lot of time, but now they take less time when we use the AI software. Siemens is specifically called Boost. So this is why I say AI is not in any way, and I feel, taking away jobs because it's speeding up scans now. What happens is you need more technologists because you're getting more scans done in a day because of this Boost software. Easily for us to do 27 scans in one day, 30 scans in one day. I'm telling you, it's easy. I used to do MRIs on a 0.25 Tesla open unit, and I would do 20 to 22 a day. Yeah, no joke. And those scans were long. Imagine if I had AI at my fingertips back then. That company would have worked me to the bone even more. They would have worked me to the bone even more. Oh my goodness. So let's see. I'm going to try to get this poll down. That was good. Thank you guys for participating in that poll. That was very good. 3 votes, and most of you were right. About 6 to 8 minutes is the average need now when it uses the AI software. And like I said, now we have things where people can get whole body MRI scans because of the use of AI. I mean, you just can't beat that. That allows people to be able to catch things earlier. You know, if they can afford that kind of scan, they could catch things earlier. I am going to get me some tissue while I talk to you guys because I came back from a trip and a sister got a little nasal issue going on. I'm going to definitely hop back on, but I want to stay on this live. Okay. There we go. Back on this live. Okay, so hope that answered that question about AI. If you guys have any other questions about AI, let me know. I feel like that's one of my most common questions. What is a typical day in the life as far as working environment and workload goes? Good question. I'm going to speak from 3 different modalities because I did X-ray and I do MRI. It's daytime here. And CT, and also consulting. So all of those things look different. And it looks different. I would say this, not only your modality makes your day look different, but where you work in medical imaging can make your day look different. I work at 2 different places. And I work at a place where nonstop for every modality, like they are cranking them in. I think they're giving away free something in there because the way those people come in, every 15, 20 minutes, I'm thinking to myself, this many people need an MRI or a CT scan? My goodness. Or X-rays, but they are cranking them in. So easily could do 30 people a day at that place. Nonstop. And you're putting in your own IVs. You're putting in, we're doing multiple things. So it depends. Some of the places do breast. Some of the places do prostate. Some do biopsies. So you got to, if you have one scanner, you have to average in time to be able to, the scanner is going to take up, that biopsy is going to take up that scanner. So if you got patients booked behind you and they don't book you enough time, you can get behind easily, very easily. Or if something happens, you can get behind very easily. The other thing is your day can look like stocking, your supplies. You have to keep the room stocked with different supplies. So if you're in a place where you do biopsies, you got to make sure you have the right glove size, needle sizes, biopsy trays. You have to kind of have all your forms together because there are a lot of forms that go with biopsies. You don't want to run out of those when it's time to do the biopsy and got to go make copies or got to go to the pharmacy to get from out. You just don't want to have to do all that. So it's good to have everything. If you're doing prostates, you have to be able to have your contrast, all of your contrast stocked. Have your contrast at your fingertips, the proper size needles. Excuse me, because you are putting in IVs all day. You want to have the earplugs. You have to make sure we have earplugs for the patients, enough sheets and blankets. It's cold in those rooms. And for some exams, we do give them blankets. Most exams, we give them sheets. Some places have warmers for their patients to have a warm blanket. When I say it's freezing in healthcare rooms and departments. It's for a reason, to keep germs down, but it's cold. And when you're laying down on the MRI for 20 minutes or 15 minutes, you're already cold and you're not moving, so you get colder. So we try to make sure our patients are comfortable. You might get a lunch. You try to get a lunch, but that's not always the case, just to be honest. It depends on where you work. In some places, you get a whole hour lunch. So, it just really depends on where you work and where you choose to work. Some places, you're just not going to even be able to get up and go to the bathroom. Some days it's like that. You're like, hey, watch my patient. Let me get up and run to the bathroom. Yeah. Let's see. Think of something day in life. It's pretty much that. You know your schedule when you come in. You either go get your patients. You have an assistant go get your patients, but you go get your patients. You can also be where some places I work, I have the ER that sends in patients while I'm doing my outpatients. So you got to multitask. You have to be able to, and I'm just going to say this. If you work at MRI, you're going to be behind. If you're not 15 minutes behind with a full packed schedule, kudos to you. But most of the time you're behind because most of the time you're working by yourself. Things happen. People lay down on that scanner in perfect health, and the minute it's over, you go in there and you got to call emergency. Who knows? Who knows? But people definitely have emergencies in our MRI department. Don't let people fool you that people don't have reactions to contrast. That's only in CT. That is not only in CT. People have reactions to MRI contrast. They do. And there are more types of contrast out there now. I think early on, there was only really one or two that we used. But now companies are creating different MRI contrasts that are a little less expensive and don't have as much reaction by patients. So there are different options out there. So if you're used to working with one, you may not be used to a lot of responses from patients, or you may be used to a lot of patients having adverse reactions to the contrast. So you have to deal with that as well. You have to deal with radiologists calling you and saying, hey, this person needs to come back. Something was missed, or you want extra imaging. What else? That's pretty much a day in the life. So it depends on where you work. Sometimes you're going up to the floor to get patients, going to the ER to get patients. Sometimes you're taking them back. It all depends. You do have to usually put in your own IVs. That's a team effort. Some days is not my day. Or I work some places, I hate the needles they use. And oh my goodness, just not my favorite needles. But you get it done. But some days you just let somebody else do it. But hopefully you have somebody else to do it for you. Most places I work, it's usually just me that can do the IVs. So you got to be proficient. I feel like you should definitely have that as a skill, that you are able to get the IVs done in patients yourself, because it just makes you more marketable. I'm all about making sure you get your skills together and have them so you can be more marketable. Hope that makes sense. There's a good question here. Would you recommend I apply to a program even if I don't have all the prereqs completed? Some require psychology, others physics. I'm taking anatomy, physio, midterm, and random history course. I am almost positive you cannot apply to radiology programs unless you complete, the school requires you to complete all the prereqs first. I'm almost positive of that. You have to have your prereqs done, because what if you get into the program and you never finish them? Now you really can't finish the program. So that is one of the requirements when I worked at a college. You have to have all your prereqs done. Private schools have different requirements. So if it's a private institution, they can require what they want. They can do what they want. But if it's a public institution, usually you have to go by the prereqs. So I wouldn't even do that. I would go ahead and finish my prereqs. You do not want to do radiology school on top of trying to get prereqs. You do not. And if you haven't finished certain prereqs, imagine if somebody got into a radiology program and never took medical terminology. You'd be up the creek without a paddle, if you know what that means. That's an old term. But you just be in a bad situation not knowing medical terminology because you're already in clinical from day 1 or 2 when you go to radiology school. You are, boom, right inside of clinical. There's no grace period. Because we have a lot of clinical hours. When you go to school to become a radiology technologist, you can have up to 2,400 clinical hours that you have to do. That is a lot. Nursing does a lot of didactic. They probably get 400 or 500 clinical hours in their 2 years. In our 2 years, 1,800 to 2,400, depending on your program. That is a big difference. Plus, we have the classroom stuff you have to do. I'm telling you, don't sleep on radiology school. And people think for some reason we don't take pharmacology. We take pharmacology. It may not be to the extent of nursing because we don't do all the things that nurses do when it comes to pharmacology. But we inject contrast and we have to understand pharmacology. We also give contrast. The oral contrast is not just a fruity drink. People are allergic to that stuff and everybody can't drink it. You have to understand how medications interact with certain oral contrasts, IV contrasts, as well as other things that we inject into people. We use glucagon. When you get prostates, there's another exam we used to use glucagon for. I forget what it was for, but it was slow the muscles movement in the abdominal area so the doctors could get a really good, clear picture. Because you got the prostate sitting there and it's surrounded by rectum and bowel and, all of that. There's a lot of motion going on in there. They needed to hold still. That's a little walnut. And sometimes it's a big walnut, but it's a little walnut-sized organ. And I'm sorry, my nose is itching, sorry. And they needed to hold still because they need to make sure there's no growths or anything on that prostate. Nothing. So we use glucagon for that reason. And we, at many facilities, inject it ourselves as technologists. So, every state is different, what they allow you to do. Every state is totally different. But as a technologist, when you go to school, we do take pharmacology. I was at a dinner with some friends and one is a nurse and she just out of the blue goes, so do you guys have to chart? And I was like, yeah, we document. We don't chart to ask me, do we do what nurses do? It's a hard no. Do nurses do what we do? It's a hard no. Can nurses just jump over and do what we do? It's a hard no. Can we jump over and just do what nurses do? It's a hard no. And it's not so much because of schooling. It's just two different things. Like when I see all these videos of don't go into radiology, go into nursing, it's better. You can't compare apples to oranges. They're both fruit, but they're totally different. Healthcare, it's all healthcare, but they're totally different. Not one, just like all doctors are not the same. They're all doctors, but they're not the same. A cardiologist, if you're having a heart attack on a plane, do you want an orthopedic surgeon or a cardiologist? They're both doctors. They both studied all the same stuff except that one little specialty. So that's what I try to tell people. Get into medical imaging for the right reason. Don't compare it to nursing. Even if you're in it, don't feel like, oh, I messed up. I should have went into nursing. I got family members that are nurses. One is going back to school to be a pharmacist. The other one is going back to school to be a school teacher. Y'all, a job is a job. Excuse me, my nose again. Sorry, live TV. Saw tissue, sorry. Okay, so back to your questions. There was another question. The history is required by one program, but not the other. Yeah, I wouldn't see history being a main thing, but sometimes you need an elective. So the history may be an elective for you. So I hope that helps. Good question. Oh, great questions. Okay. MRI or CT? I do both. You're making this hard for me to choose, Jason. I do both. And I love both. I love both. I would say that. I love both. I wouldn't say one or the other, but it depends on what day I'm in. Some days I want to talk my patient's head off and and laugh with them. And that's MRI day because you spend more time with the patients. Other days I'm like, hey, bye. I'm not in a talking mood, but I'm going to take good care of you. That's my CT day. Like, does it make, because CT is like boom, 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 boom. You could do like 20 CTs to somebody's 1 or 2 MRIs. I hate to say it like that, but I used to work with my friends and they did CT behind me. We were all in the same room and I did MRI and they're like on their 10th patient and I'm still on the first one. They're doing calcium scores, abdomens. They drank this patient and that one's got the contrast and this one gets the IV. They put the and I'm still over there doing the one MRI patient. They're like, girl, there's no way I could do MRI. It's so boring. I used to say that too, Jason. I used to say that as an MRI technologist. And then I was like, I went to nuclear medicine school. The first day, my dad had a massive heart attack. So I never went back. They held my spot, but I just wasn't in a place to go back to school. I just couldn't do it. And that's how I learned MRI on the job. And I thought to myself, the struggle of trying to pass the registry after only knowing it for 30 days, learning MRI in 30 days and studying on my own without a structural school, the struggle of passing it was really rough. And the people I was training with weren't the most helpful. Eventually, they became helpful, but it was a hard 30 days. I'm not even gonna lie, it was a hard 30 days. And I thought to myself, why did I get into MRI? Let me just go back to CT. But I said to myself, when people make it this hard for you to try to learn, that's where you need to be. And I hate to say that, but anytime, like when I see people make comments on social media and they're radiology technologists and they're telling people, don't go into this career, it's boring, it's dead end, I don't make good money, but yet they still here going to work every day, going on family vacations, got a nice place to stay, a roof over their head, their bills are paid. They shop at Whole Foods when they want to. They don't coupon. I don't want to hear those people telling you, those are the people that you should probably not be listening to. Because if it was so bad, they would have done like some of my friends who left nursing and went to pharmacy school. They would have gone to school for something else. So that's why I say, be careful who you listen to. I'm going to tell you, I've had ups and downs in this profession. I've gotten paid what I deserve. I haven't gotten paid what I've deserved. I've been in situations where it wasn't fair. It was definitely not fair. But you know what? I got what I needed and I went on. So, okay, we got options. You do not have to stay somewhere. The one thing I know is that I have a skill. As of now, I don't know, things may change later on, but as of now, having a skill in medical imaging with multi-modalities that are available to my fingertips, let me just say, I'm not complaining. Because when I got tired of working by myself second shift and CT, pulling over patients all by myself, because it was rough working second shift CT. It was rough. And my body started to feel it. You know what? I had another option. I went to nuke med school. That was another option I had. We got options. When I was driving trucks for FedEx, I didn't have options. I saw people who, that's all they knew how to do. And I saw them treated very poorly by their coworkers and managers for no reason, just because they could, because the managers knew they didn't have options. So this is what I tell y'all. Thank y'all for following me, staying on this live, asking these questions, asking questions that I can make videos to answer your questions to, is if you want to go back to school for something, go back for it. It may be hard. People may tell you you can't do it, or it's impossible to do it with 3 kids. It's impossible to do it and work full time. It may be for them. But you won't know if it's for you unless you try. I sold everything except my car and my bedroom set, packed it in a U-Haul, and drove myself back home to my mom to live in my old bedroom. Worked for a year driving trucks until I became a resident of the state so I could get state tuition. Applied to 4 programs, only 2 took me. I chose the most expensive school. Didn't know how I would pay for it. I paid for it. I finished, got my degree, started a company, staffing myself out, never got a contract, worked for other people's companies, and learned how the business worked, created relationships. And then one day I got contracts, and I've had contracts for the last 20 years. I've worked part-time, I worked PRN, I worked full-time, I worked agency, I worked travel. It's been amazing. It's been hard work. It's been some disappointments, but I have options. And that is why I come on here and talk about medical imaging. So ask any questions you want. I'm going to finish out answering these questions. Thank you for your videos. I was hoping you could give advice to an aspiring rad tech. I have struggled at school and am looking to go back to school this fall. Hopefully what I just said was very encouraging to you. Go back to school. Everything's a struggle. You're going to struggle without it. You're going to struggle with it. Go for it. You got this. You'll do fine. And you can always just start over if it doesn't work out that time. You got another time to start over. Have you ever gotten a chance to think about inviting? I can't read that. I'm sorry. It's so small. I'm trying to read it. Inviting Imaging Center on for an interview. I have no idea where to start. I've already Googled ChatGPT, but no real info. Have I ever gotten a chance to think about inviting my friends who own imaging centers on? No, I haven't. To tell you the truth, they're not going to come. And I don't mean that they're not going to come on. Most of them don't even they don't make videos. I don't even know if they have social media. But they're busy running an imaging center. It is a lot of hard work. I don't know. I guess you could Google it. I don't know. But it takes more than Googling to own an imaging center. I'm going to say that. There's a guy on TikTok. I don't know what his name is. He doesn't pop up on my For You page anymore. But he owns imaging centers. He's a CT technologist like I am. But he owns a lot of different businesses, concrete business and others. I don't remember his name. But he doesn't pop up on my thing anymore. But if you are a technologist and you want to own an imaging center, I would definitely go to the business side. It doesn't matter if you're a technologist or not to own an imaging center. People own imaging centers that have no healthcare background at all. A lot of imaging centers are owned by people that have no medical background. They have business background. It is a business. The people that I know that own imaging centers, they are business people. They're technologists. They know how to do it in case they have to scan when they don't have staff, but they are really business people. So if you are a business person by heart and by trade, you would not be Googling it and going to ChatGPT. If you own any kind of business, I would say you need to go to your Chamber of Commerce. You need to network where other business owners are. And that is how you find out those kind of things. Hope that helps. I'm trying to read. This wording is so small. I'm doing this on my phone. I've also done calls with something health docs, imaging consultants, but they don't seem to want to work with independent owners. I did score, but the one I matched with don't have. Find another score person. I went through a couple of score people. You're gonna have to go through a few. I don't know. Score is helpful. But it took me a couple people to find the right one. Everybody doesn't have that experience that it takes to own the images. And some of it's going to be trial and error. Some is going to be trial and error. And I know a person that got with someone that they paid them to walk them through the ropes of owning an imaging center, and they wasted money. I don't advise people on it because I don't own an imaging center. Do I know people that do own them? Yes. I'm pretty sure they will not consult to help you to start one. It is such I don't want to say, you should go to a professional because it is a very serious business to own an imaging center. I don't know if you all know about the situation that just happened in New York. I'm pretty sure you do. If you don't, I know a few people have not heard about it. The MRI accident that happened in New York. This is one of the things of owning an imaging center. You are responsible for whatever happens, whether you scanned it or not. And I think that's why you never hear me talk about the business that I own for the last 20 years, because I don't advocate for individuals to just be a tech and go out there. And it's a lot of responsibility. And it's a lot you could lose. And most people I know do not protect themselves. So, and they don't want to spend the money on things that protect you. You think hospitals out here just doing stuff without insurance. It's people out here doing stuff without insurance. Like, that's no. It's so many things besides insurance that you need to do to own any kind of business, but especially a health and medical imaging type of business. Y'all ain't ready for that. It's a lot of liability. I don't even recommend people doing it. And it's a reason the bigger companies don't want to subcontract smaller ones out, because there's a lot of liability. That instance in New York with that gentleman being allowed in that trailer, number one, that's the first mistake. He's allowed in a trailer. He wasn't the patient. He should not have been in that trailer. It would have never happened if he wasn't in a trailer. There's never a reason for non-patients to be in zone 3 and 4. No reason. None. So if a company has that happen, whether you say it shouldn't happen or not, things like that happen. It's a lot of stuff can go wrong. So think about all of that before you want to jump into that arena. And if you do, find the right people to mentor you and help consult with you before you shell out a lot of money. So if I need to wait to apply until winter 2025 to apply because I have to do all the prerequisites, I'm worried I'll be so much more competitive with 2026. I think it's going to be competitive regardless, but I don't know if you've looked at the ASRT's workplace survey. I just did an article with auntmini.com. I don't know if you checked the article out, but if you go to my YouTube post, you'll see the article, a link to the article. But that's what I say. I think you should get all your prereqs done, because no program is going to let you apply to a radiology program unless you go to a private higher tuition school. But no community college or J-Cert program is going to let you in the program without completing your prereqs. So the faster you get them done, you can apply. X-ray is where the money is at, and when you add certifications, you are so good to go. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, add those certifications. And when you look at that workplace survey, after you read the article that I spoke in, you're going to see the numbers, the data. This is what I said. Go by the data, the research data. The research data, you guys, says that MRI is not the modality that I think strategically, if you're graduating radiology school, that you should be going into. But you got to go check that article out. It's in my YouTube post. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Let's see. It's the last one I just did. I posted and I got the link in there. You can read the article. You can listen to the article. You can watch it. But it's my last post, and it says I was featured in a major medical imaging magazine. And y'all, that survey blew me away. By the workforce survey by the ASRT. I didn't think MRI had the numbers that says that that's the modality. Now, there is a shortage in MRI, but it's not the one with the highest shortage. And when you're talking about being strategic with your next move, one thing I know, I took a contract job as a CT tech. Now, they had a shortage. They needed some people at MR2, but they were paying more. They were paying the CT techs more. The other people couldn't go to CT because they only knew MRI. They either went straight from X-ray to MRI or they went straight into MRI. I was the only one that could do CT and MRI. And I got paid a lot more than them for a modality that people think is beneath. So that's why I say, don't go by just what social media says. Pardonnez-moi. Make sure that you look at the data. There we go. Make sure you look at the data. The data is the truth. There was a survey that was run that points to two modalities, y'all, that if you finish Radiology Technology School, that I feel you should be going into. At least get your ART certification in these two. Get a little experience, at least a year's experience in both, and then use it to your advantage. Is this how you do it? my friend's daughter just showed me what this was. I was like, what? And then I went to a networking event today, and the superintendent did it. I thought I was going to die. She was like, I was cracking up. Yes, sure. Do have options is the best decision I made. I know that's right. Because most people have that associates and just go back to school 1 or 2 years to add certifications depending on which one. Yep. Now, I'm going to say, if you get a bachelor's, not a bad. I'm not saying don't go to a program with a bachelor's. But just know, off the bat, you don't make more money because you have a bachelor's in radiology. Or anything. Every nurse I know has an associate's. And then they go get a job and they let their employer pay for their bachelor's. I mean, one thing about us, if you get a bachelor's, is the benefit of getting a bachelor's is you come out with an extra certification already under your belt, right? Okay. The waterfall has opened up. I was eating soup and drinking water to try to help flush this out. I got to do a lavage, so a nasal cleanse to help. I got off a plane this weekend, and after that, I went to a party, and then I took a flight back home, and I've been nasally ever since, so I don't know. But yeah, I agree. I think letting your employer pay for the rest of your degree is the smart way to go. Some people literally only work at places because that place has free tuition if I work there. It's not because the place pays more money. It's because they give you free tuition. Like, I think that is so smart. Sometimes we look at, I want all the money. But it's like, while your brain is still in school mode, because the minute you turn off of school mode, y'all, it's hard to go back. Children start coming, life starts happening. It's hard to go to school. I've tried. It's hard to go back. And then when you start making a certain amount of money, getting an education is going to cost you so much, not make you so much. So, I thought about going back for medical dosimetry, but the money I would spend to go back at this point in my career, I wouldn't be able to make that back. And it was like, that wasn't advantageous for me. So I would say be strategic. And when you look at that ASRT workforce survey, y'all, it is really going to open your eyes to what I've been saying is be strategic. Don't just say, oh, this social media is telling me everybody's at MRI. I can sit back and drink my coffee or drink my iced coffee and my matcha tea and relax. And every scan takes an hour. Honey, these scans are speeding up. These MRI scans are not an hour anymore. These MRI scans are 15 minutes. They're coming close to CT. They're creeping up on CT. So the days of a 30-minute, 45-minute, 1 hour long MRI scan are going out the window. You will soon be doing 6-minute scans. So you're going to be cranking those people in and out the MRI department just as almost fast as CT. So what I say is get them out. To me, it was easier to go X-ray. I did bone density. I didn't get certified in it. I should have. I did mammo, should have got certified in it, but I didn't. But I took the course. I could go back and do it again. And I just I don't know. I got to see. I got to decide. But I'm nationally certified in mammography, just not ARRT certified because I didn't go take the test because I never thought I'd do it, which I haven't, but I've been offered jobs to do it. And I was offered a job to do screening memos, which I can do. But that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I don't do it often. So I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. But I just tell you so many things we can't do. But those things follow the same principles as Radiology Technology School. So it wasn't like I needed to go per se learn something different. I just needed to learn about that particular anatomy when it came to mammography. The angles, the positioning. That's what I learned when I went to school. The safety part, the QA, all of that when I went to school for that. When it comes to CT, the cross-sectional was the only difference. It was still the same radiation principles that I learned 2 years in radiology school. Bone density, same principles. Y'all, there are so many. The strategy is so important. That's what I say. The strategy is so important. getting that radiology degree first and staying along that pathway of radiation and radiology is very smart. Now, once you finish getting all of those, your bone density, your mammo, your CT certification, and your X-ray certification, boom, now you go to MRI because it works off the principle of CT, cross-sectional anatomy. Totally different physics and all of that kind of stuff. So you can learn that later. But the cross-sectional, you already got that from CT, so you really don't even have to relearn that part. That is the strategy. Now you got 5 certifications under your belt. Get proficient with that. But also, this is the other thing. Don't have the letters if you don't even know how to do this scan. One thing is not very good when you go take a job and you say, I've worked with a person before and they got the MRI certification, they passed it, but they never did MRI. Something happened where they couldn't do their other modalities, so they had to come to MRI. They didn't know nothing because they had never done it. They just had the letters. And I don't know who did their interview, but when I used to interview people that I was hiring, I did a scanning interview because I got burned a couple of times where people, I could do this, I could scan this, I could scan that, I could put in IVs. People would sell themselves. And then when they start on day one, they don't know Epic like they said they know it. They don't even know how to turn the scanner on. And it's like, okay, that's fine. I would have still probably hired you, but at least tell me so we could get you trained properly. But, I get it. So that's one thing there. Making sure that you know how to at least do, I've set out from scanning for a year, and when I come back, I'm a little slower. But it's like riding a bike. Once you know it, you get that experience, you can leave it for a year or two or so, come back, and it's like, okay, let me just get back on the bike and do the pedals for a second. I think I could do this. So that's pretty much what I say. If you get the letters, make sure you know how to do the scan, y'all. Thank you so much for your answer. You're welcome. Okay, so he says, I'm thinking about taking a dive and going to school. Honestly, do I think AI will get rid of? Oh, you missed the beginning. I gave a whole spiel on AI. I even did a poll. So JM, you missed it. You got to go back and rewatch it. So it's at the beginning. I did a whole spiel on AI. And oh my goodness. And that's what led up to all of this conversation. Oh, you missed it. It was good. But it's okay. Go back and rewatch the beginning. You will see the AI portion. And you'll be like, oh, interesting. But no, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. That is the T on that. Level up, thanks. I did some research and believe that that's going to be my route. Was told that establishments would take someone with an associate's in their work history over a bachelor's in it. Oh, yeah. I've never, ever been asked on a job, do you have a bachelor's or an associate's? Never, ever. I've never been asked, what did you make on your ARRT exam? Ever been asked those things. That's all vanity, y'all. That's all vanity. I've never, ever been asked that stuff in my life. And I'm interviewing people I've never asked them. It's not indicative of if somebody's a good technologist or not, or if they're easy to work with. All of those things are important. How do you get along with people? How do you work out differences? How do you work in a team environment? How do you handle thinking outside the box? Because working in medical imaging, it is not textbook. I don't care what modality you do. It is not textbook. Oh my goodness. Everything you learn in textbook, it is not probably going to happen in real life. I mean, patients come in as patients. Like, we don't know what's walking in there. That's one thing I think people misunderstand about medical imaging is every patient is different. We have to think on our feet and still employ the same principles of physics, of radiation per patient. Nobody's the same. No exam is the same. No angulation. We have to angle our tubing and stuff in a specific way, but it's dependent on the patient. I mean, I had a wrist not long ago, and the radiologist, I didn't write on a paper why I didn't use the wrist coil. I thought they could see all the casting around the doggone hand. Evidently they didn't. and wanted to just fuss as to why did this person's hand was like this, that couldn't fit inside a coil. I had to use a flex coil and a table coil in order to get quality image. And it looked pretty good. And I had to get them the imaging using that type of coil that I had to use and still show them what they needed to look at. So I had to look at that. We have to look at the diagnosis. We don't just look at, oh, they're ordering an x-ray of the hand. No, because it may be of the hand, but it may be of a ligament. We got to know what ligament. We have to know what tendon. Have you ever seen tendons in cross-section? I sometimes got to go back to my anatomy book. I don't know where every tendon is, every ligament. I'm sorry, I don't. Now, certain facial nerves. I remember the first time I did some IACs. I always in the hospital did IACs for hearing loss. You know, something on the hearing area. Like, that's all I ever did IACs for. When I started working in this other place, that was more like a lot of different things. Like, it was no rhyme or reason for patients. It was almost like patients just came in every day. I saw everything. And this was not at a hospital. This was an outpatient center. And it was the first time somebody asked, I think it was the 8th nerve or the 9th. I don't remember what nerve it was. But I was like, where is that nerve? Where is that nerve? I don't remember that in anatomy. But, you know, you forget that stuff, especially you don't deal with, there's how many nerves in the face? Oh my goodness. And they control different things. One lady came in with giggling, and it had to do with a nerve in the face. I didn't know any of that. Like, I have learned so much in my last 20 years of working in medical imaging, like sensations in the skin. I'm gonna tell you, if my shoulder hurt, I think it's from my shoulder. It's not always from your shoulder. Sometimes it's from your neck. And it has nothing to do with your shoulder, but it could feel like your shoulder is broken. I've learned so many things about the nerves and the tendons and the ligaments. People think we just take pictures of bones. No, ma'am, no, sir. Thank you, sis. I'm just an X-ray tech sister trying to transition into owning the imaging center. Okay, in the liability aspect, thanks for sharing your advice. You're welcome. Yeah, I would say find the right mentor, because owning imaging centers, that situation in New York highlights a lot that can go wrong and does go wrong a lot of times. And you have employees. Having employees is a whole nother thing. People get hurt. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. And honestly, there's no salary difference with the bachelor's and associates. Yep. I have a question. I'm currently doing I already answered this one. Okay, so if someone had only nuclear medicine and not x-ray certification, can they also do CT and MRI too? MRI is a primary pathway. You could go to school for MRI and get registered by Armorit or ART, depending on the school you go to for MRI. CT is a little different. I have a podcast here on YouTube you could check out. A couple of Radtech's podcasts. There's one on nuclear medicine. That individual that I interviewed told a story about how when she worked in Florida, she went to primary pathway nuclear medicine. Florida is a state with licensure. They allowed her to do CT. I think she had her ART and CT. Some school allowed you to get it. She did it in Florida. Well, her husband got a job in California. She went to California thinking she could do both. California said, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, you can't. No, you can't. There are several states that are licensed have rules. Some states, you must go to a JRCERT program to get a license to do radiology in their state. Some people don't know that. Can't work in every state just because you went to an x-ray school that is accredited. If they're not accredited by JCERT, some states won't allow you to get a license. Or you have to apply it a different way and they have to approve you and they may not. There are certain laws that if you don't go to Radiology Technology school first, you cannot do CT. Some states will let you. Someone just commented on another one of my socials that said she does nuke med and CT, but she can't leave her state. There are a number of states that won't allow her to do both. So she's staying in her state. Some people, that if you know you're never moving out of your state and they allow you to do both, yeah. But again, just because you have an ARRT certification in one state does not mean you could do that in another state. Most states have a lot of radiation safety requirements that you must meet. Like you have to go to radiology school and learn the principles of radiation safety before you can jump over into another one. So even though nuke med and CT go hand in hand and do a lot together, you still, for most states, have to go to radiology school first. Nuclear medicine, that was that was my second choice after I did X-ray. I wanted to do radiation therapy. That didn't work out, so I went to CT. CT was great to me. I love CT to this day, still do it. Decided let me add nuke med because we work so closely together. I'm all about being strategic when I move from modality to modality. MRI didn't make as much sense to me. Nuke med made more sense. But when we had a tragedy in my family, that changed what I did. And that's how I got into MRI, which was very closely related to CT. I think every scan takes like 4 to 6 hours or something. Yeah, nuke med things, you get patients in. It depends on what you're doing in nuke med. You could be doing stress tests. You could be doing HIDA scans. There are different types of scans that nuclear medicine has, but you are dealing with liquid radiation. So there is possibility of contamination, more contamination to radiation. Of course, there are precautions that you need to take and are taken, but ours is not a liquid exposure. Nuke med is a liquid radiation. So they have a certain what is it called? Can't think of what it's called. But how long it's alive. I cannot think of the word. Sorry, y'all. But I can't think of it. But yeah, so you have a liquid radiation nuclear medicine. I cannot think of what I'm trying to say right now. Probably because I don't feel too good. So I appreciate you all. I'm going to finish these questions because I need to get some fluids in me so I can get better. I've got to work the next couple of days. Got some big stuff coming up. So make sure y'all check out my book, Rachel the Radiographer. A portion of sales go to Radiology Technology students. We have big announcements coming up in September. The students that will be getting the first ever radiology, a couple of Rad Tech scholarships will be awarded in September. So if you are a Rad Tech student, presently in an accredited program, it does not have to be J-Cert accredited, but it does have to follow ARRT curriculum. It does have to follow that curriculum. The deadline is August 31st to apply for it, August 31st of this year to apply. September, the end of September, the board I don't make the decision who gets the scholarships, but one student or multiple students will be awarded $500. That is the max award per student to use towards their tuition or use towards their schooling, however you want. So, but to pay you back. I mean, I remember being short just book money and not being able to possibly finish radiology school because I didn't have money for books that were required for that course. That is a bad feeling to have, that your tuition is paid, everything's paid, but you can't afford to get the books. And if it wasn't for an amazing woman in the financial aid office who found money for me, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking about it today, or I'd be delayed. I maybe would have had to go back another year. So I want to pay it forward with the sale of these books. I've never sold anything through my content. But because you guys show up on these lives, you show up in my social content, commenting, sharing, engaging, that has allowed me to get brand deals, which that money, as well as the book money, will go towards the scholarship. So a portion of it is going to go, a portion of those things all go into a pot. And in September of every year, I'm going to award multiple students $500. So I've got several applications and I have a board of 3 people. I am not a decision maker in it, but a board of 3. Vastly different people. One of them was just on this live, is going to make the decision who gets those scholarships. So stay tuned. And if you qualify, please go to my profile link and you can apply. The applications are still open. I'm going to do some posts about that now. So by tomorrow, so people can realize the deadline is coming up because I want as many people as possible to get in for this year and then to tell others about next year. So hopefully we can sell more books. Rachel the Radiographer, sell more books. We can get more brand deals, those things like that. To me, this is an avenue to share information. It is a business for me, which is to generate income. But I want to share that income with deserving individuals in a profession. I want to pour that back into my profession. I appreciate you all supporting me here and helping me to be able to do this podcast, be able to do this content, because I actually have fun doing it. Even when I didn't have a book or anything, I just like coming on here. This is really the first thing that I've done to make money on here. But like I said, the brand deals that I have gotten is because of you all liking and commenting on my things. That has helped bring awareness to my page. And I feel like turning it back around and giving back to you guys and sharing that with you how I can is through the scholarship. It's a meaningful way to give that back. So if you know any students that have an ART accredited program, please let them know about the scholarship. Okay, back to this. I admire you for going to school as a older student. I'm in my 40s and I'm considering going back to school. I like watching your videos because they're very motivating. Thank you, Jane. Yeah, I was in my mid-20s. My husband was in his late 20s when he went back for radiology. It's never too late. Never too late. I know people in their 40s and 50s who've gone back. That's interesting. 2 people a day, 5 days a week, and you're good. Wait, I don't know what that was. Yeah, Jay, and that's okay. You go back in the beginning and look, but I can't repeat it. I said it the first time, so if I tried to repeat it, I'd probably say it bad. So go back and check it out. Associate's degree in radiology, how long does it take to become certified? Each of those things, CT, MRI, etc. Each could take a year, but like I say, don't just get the letters. Know how to do it, if that makes sense. So it's going to take a couple years to really get grounded in the principles of it. How do I feel about MRI remote jobs? Remote scanning, I think you mean. I don't know. I've never done it, so I cannot give my honest opinion. I multitask just fine, but I just don't think the average person understands what goes into remote scanning. You're not just sitting at home in your PJ scanning one thing. You're scanning multiple scanners at one time, and you're all alone. And the average technologist hasn't been doing this long enough, in my opinion, to have critical skills to be able to work alone. Working in a team environment allows you to be able to say, hey, can you go put your eyes on this? Did I cover this? Am I covering all of that? Should I do more? What do you think? You see something? Should I do extra? You know, that kind of environment fosters growth. Until you've gotten to that place in your career and you've been doing MRI long enough, remote scanning may be for you. That's just my opinion. I have to take, the struggle is real, have to take out a loan. I actually just did, check out my videos. If you're in radiology school, make sure you check out my videos on CLASP. You could look in my videos to see that. I don't know that I could pin it here. Yeah, I can't do it here. I thought I could. Yeah, I can't do it here. But if you go back to my shorts, I have a shorts on there. And I may have a resource tab. Let me look under my playlist. I'll make a playlist actually for you, and you will be able to find that information because I think that's very helpful for individuals. There's a lot of programs out there to where if you're in radiology school, there are hospitals that are partnering now to be able to, instead of doing sign-on bonuses, what they're doing is they're allowing you to be able to work for them and they'll pay your school loans back for you. Yep. They'll pay your school loans back for you. Isn't that cool? And I think that's really helpful to a lot of people because a sign-on bonus is not what everybody wants. It comes with its own stipulations. And I got to find it, but I'm going to make so make sure you go to my shorts, but I'm going to make a tab for it so you could be able to look at it and figure out, oh, okay, this might work for me, and at least apply for it and see if it works for you. But I can't see it right now. I'm trying to do this and look for it. But I'm going to make a tab for it. And if not, go to my profile and you can check it out. But it is through clasp.com. But it's in my profile. So check out my socials and you'll be able to see that. Like Instagram.com/a couple of rad techs. You can go to my Instagram and it's inside of the link, or on my TikTok. Just bought the Rachel Radiographer book. Sis, wishing you the best. Oh, thank you, Level Up 2002. And I got a big surprise coming for all those that have bought it from when I launched in May to now. I'm working on something that anybody who purchases this last group of things before I announce that item, I got a big surprise for you, just to say thank you for taking a chance on this book. I just went to an event today, a literacy event, and with some really big people, and they were like, oh my goodness, it's a really good book. That's a really nice book. And it made me feel proud that it took me over a year to write that book and put it all together. But I wanted to put out a quality book. I just didn't want to put out an AI generated book that, oh, the big bad MRI machine. This is why it's not scary. That's not what this book is about. This book works off the 5 pillars to not only give your child a book that teaches them about radiology, but it teaches them how to read, how to sound out big words, medical big words. You know, I mean, the most impressive thing to me is a child that can read and enunciate words early on, because a reading child is a thinking child, a creative child, and a child that is confident, and a child that can make decisions and is going to investigate things and find the best solution. Who of us does not want a child like that in our life? Reading is amazing for children. You look at a child's brain from birth, no synapses have been formed. Very few, very little connections. Between the age of 6, it looks like a solar system in their little brains because synapses are trying to form. Just so much going on, so much going on. Imagine putting a book in their hands that introduces them to all of these amazing careers and things happening in medical imaging. They don't grow up like us just knowing that they're nurses and doctors. Nurses and doctors. That's all our brains were wired to know. It wasn't until I was an adult that I knew there were other professions out there that people made good money. They had options, flexibility, career growth, radiologic technology. So thank you for supporting Rachel the Radiographer book. Thank you for supporting my content. And until next time, thanks for joining us live, y'all.